Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the chilling tales and the hidden realities of India's infamous Bhangarh Fort. We're going to completely unpack the terrifying supernatural legends that surround this place, and then we'll uncover the fascinating scientific and historical truths hiding right underneath the surface. We have to start our journey with this absolutely chilling official warning. Think about that for a second. This isn't some spooky campfire rumor spread by the locals. This is a strict, government-mandated rule posted right at the main gate of this 16th century Rajasthani fort by the Archaeological Survey of India. It instantly sets the stakes and totally validates the incredibly dark reputation of this magnificent yet completely ruined city. To really understand the level of fear surrounding this place, you've got to hear this infamous local legend. Basically, three friends decided they were going to ignore that exact ASI warning and sneak in after dark. Well, their night ended in a horribly tragic sequence of events. While sneaking around in the pitch black, one of the friends fell into a deep, dry well. His friends managed to pull him out and desperately rushed to get him to a hospital, but on the way, their car suffered a devastating crash, leaving 0 survivors. Locals blame this entirely on the fort's dark, cursed energy. They say the fort always exacts a price for broken rules. Section 1. The Twin Curses. So, why exactly is this huge, ruined city, which used to be a prosperous hub of over 9,000 homes, now completely roofless and considered so incredibly dangerous? Let's get into the mythology. Local folklore actually gives us two completely terrifying explanations for the city's destruction side by side. The first is the tale of Baba Balunath. He was an ascetic who only allowed the city to be built on one condition: its shadow could never ever fall upon his ashram. While an arrogant descendant eventually raised the palace to 7 stories, the shadow fell and absolute ruin followed. But then there's the second tale, which is honestly even darker. It's about Tantric Singhiya, a master of black magic who became completely obsessed with the beautiful Princess Ratnavati. He tried to trap her using a bewitched love potion, but she caught on and she threw the potion onto a nearby boulder. The black magic literally caused the boulder to hurl toward the Tantric, crushing him to death. But with his dying breath, he cursed the entire city to complete devastation, condemning its people to never be reborn. Section 2. Encounters in the dark. These incredibly heavy historical curses haven't just stayed in the past. They've birthed a massive wave of modern urban legends that absolutely terrify tourists and locals alike today. Take Manav, for example. He was a young tour guide who was allured by the promise of some extra cash from a group of students, so he decided to stay past that strict 6 p.m. sunset deadline. After the students mysteriously vanished, he started hearing the sounds of women laughing and playing. He pulled back a curtain, hoping to find real people, but the room was pitch black and totally empty. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and when he turned around, he was chased by the terrifying spirit of a dead woman with this sinister smile. He literally had to sprint for his life, and he only survived by passing out inside the sacred grounds of a nearby Hanuman temple, a place where spirits supposedly cannot enter. Or get this, consider the story of a journalist named Pallavi. As she and her partner were trying to leave the fort right near sunset, her fully fueled, perfectly working scooter just mysteriously died. Out of nowhere, a strange man appeared. Without even touching the engine, he easily started the scooter, looked her dead in the eye, and delivered this bone-chilling warning: "They want you." When she frantically asked who, he just replied, "You know who," before completely vanishing into the dusk. Section 3. The Science of Fear. Okay, we have heard the terrifying stories, but now it's time to do a sharp pivot, pull back the curtain, and completely dismantle these myths using hard history and science. Because here is the absolute biggest twist of this whole explainer. Are you ready for this? Despite every spooky thing you've just heard, historians have found 0 historical records proving that Princess Ratnavati, Tantric Singhiya, or Baba Balunath ever actually existed. No official documents, no stone inscriptions, nothing. The main characters of these famous curses are entirely fictional. They're built purely on folklore that's been passed down and highly exaggerated over generations. So if the ghosts aren't real, what is actually causing these very real, physical feelings of dread that so many visitors experience? Enter infrasound. These are incredibly low sound waves, specifically below 20 hertz. Now, your ear cannot hear them, but your body physically feels them as vibrations. This naturally induces extreme anxiety, uncontrollable shivering, and that deeply eerie feeling that someone, or something is watching you. And since Bhangarh is located in seismic zone 4, minor earth movements are super common. Combine that with the wind howling through the unique architecture of those roofless ruins, and the entire fort basically acts as a massive natural infrasound generator. Now couple that invisible, vibrating anxiety with something called pareidolia. This is a wild, evolutionary psychological trick where your human brain constantly tries to find patterns, specifically human faces, in random shapes. Isn't it crazy how our brains do that? So when you're standing in the dark corners, looking at the broken pillars and shifting shadows of Bhangarh, your brain takes that underlying sense of dread and literally mathematically transforms ordinary stone structures into smiling ghosts and lurking shadow figures. And of course, we absolutely can't forget suggestibility, which is also known as expectation bias. Because everyone from random YouTube videos to the local tour guides primes you with this intense fear before you even step through the gates, your brain is already locked in to haunted mode. You are fully expecting to see a ghost. So the second a leaf rustles or a shadow moves, your highly suggested brain immediately screams, "Supernatural!" When we actually map these mythical encounters directly to scientific reality, everything suddenly makes perfect sense. Those terrifying sounds of crying women, they are literally just the distinct shrieks of hyenas. The strange rustling and footsteps following you, that's just the local monkey population moving through the ancient ruins at night. And that dizziness or seeing those creepy shadow figures out of the corner of your eye, that is the 19 Hz infrasound playing massive tricks on your nervous system. Which brings us back to that famous terrifying ASI warning board. It turns out it's not about ghosts at all. It is a completely practical administrative notice to keep you alive. The fort's walls are ancient and structurally unsafe. There are absolutely zero lights anywhere. And most importantly, the fort sits just 50 kilometers from the Sariska Tiger Reserve. The real danger at night isn't some cursed princess. It is the very, very high risk of encountering roaming leopards, tigers, and hyenas in the pitch black. Section 4, the real tragedy. This really brings up a sobering realization. If ghosts and curses didn't destroy this once super prosperous 9,000 house city, what actually wiped Bhangarh off the map? Well, the real killer didn't use black magic, and it definitely didn't happen overnight in a fit of rage. It arrived quietly, but with absolute devastation, in the year 1783. The true downfall of Bhangarh was the Chalisa Akal. We are talking about a brutal, catastrophic 4-year drought driven by unusual El Niño events. It completely decimated the entire region. With no water, the crops failed, bringing unimaginable widespread starvation. And that was closely followed by a plague that wiped out much of the remaining population. The poor survivors had literally no choice but to permanently abandon their beautiful city just to search for food and water, leaving all that magnificent architecture to simply be swallowed up by the jungle. Section 5, Why We Believe Ghosts. And that brings us to the fascinating meta-narrative of our explainer today. Why do we continue to believe in the haunting of Bhangarh when the historical and scientific truth is just so clearly documented? Honestly, it all comes down to the psychology of myth-making. As human beings, we strongly prefer a satisfying narrative with a clear, evil villain, like an evil tantric, over a random, meaningless natural disaster. Stories of curses give our minds an illusion of order and control in what is essentially a chaotic world. On top of that, the most haunted tag practically runs the local economy through dark tourism. And let's be real, in today's world, social media algorithms heavily reward dramatic supernatural claims, and they completely bury the far less sensational scientific debunking. So I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought to ponder today. When we tell these elaborate, spooky tales of Bhangarh, do we cling to ghost stories because we are genuinely afraid of the supernatural? Or do we tell them because the indifferent, destructive, and totally uncontrollable power of nature is the true terror that our minds simply cannot face? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the shadows.